If you are struggling to understand the issue of terrorism in Nigeria, or you've ever wondered why Nigeria can't seem to break free from insecurity, then you need to watch this. First, let's start from this man. This is Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador. You might think, what does this have to do with Nigeria? You'll find out soon enough. When Bukele took office in 2019, the entire country of Salvador was on the brink of collapse from gang violence that was ravaging streets and communities.
For 30 years, El Salvador has been ravaged by a gang war that has already taken more than 60,000 lives. Gangs that terrorize the population, harass small business owners, and murder all those who refuse to comply.
According to one person's account, he said something like this. He said, "The gangs tried to extort my brother and they refused. So they shot his legs, fired bullets at people so that they wouldn't escape, and they lit his bus on fire. They recorded him burning alive and circulated the video on WhatsApp groups. It was horrific, a constant state of trauma across so many communities." Is this looking more and more like Nigeria's predicament? When Bukele assumed office and he took the reins of power, his first and most important goal was to crush gang violence across El Salvador. So how did he achieve this? Because Bukele meant business. First, he declared a state of emergency to enable him to crack down on gang violence without any legal or procedural restraint. So he declared a state of emergency, suspended certain constitutional provisions, then he deployed heavy military and police presence across the country. And their predominant focus was to fish out gang members across every community and towns and those affiliated with them. And they cracked down on them, arrested them, and imprisoned them into custom-made prisons that was specifically built for the purpose of housing these gang members. What was the result of this? Killing, violence, maiming in El Salvador dropped drastically with about 80%. If you see this and think, Nigeria can do the same, you see, theoretically, on paper, you're not wrong. But practically, you've grossly underestimated the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. You see, Nigeria's insecurity challenge is multifaceted. There are several terrorist groups and several armed insurgent groups that have roots in several parts of the country. There is Boko Haram, which originated in the northeast and have wreaked havoc for decades. There is ISWAP, the Islamic State in West African province, another terror group that is a breakaway faction of Boko Haram. There is another group known for short as Ansaru, and in full known as Jama'atu Ansaru Muslima fi Biladi Sudan. It's another splinter group pledging allegiance to Al-Qaeda and operating from the northeast of Nigeria. This is not all. There are other smaller terror groups also, like Mahmuda, a suspected Boko Haram splinter group, and Lakruwa, another jihadist group. Then there are the armed bandits and Fulani militias across the northwest and north central, largely responsible for the recent spate of sporadic violence in schools and churches, destabilizing entire communities, leaving behind borders, destruction, and waves of killings and kidnappings carried out for ransom. Why this group seems to have varying motivations and ideologies. Some of them are not very sophisticated in terms of ideological direction. However, they seem to have a similar goal, which is to collapse the Nigerian nation from within, directly or indirectly.
That what Nigeria is dealing with, it is both an ancient and a modern problem. And this is bigger, including religion, but bigger than religion. This is not an Usman Danfodio narrative. It's a more modern, more deadly, more intelligent Hydra, a supremacist agenda that was perfected by Osama bin Laden when he globalized the global resurgence of religious terrorism. This is not merely a Fulani problem. It's bigger than that. There are at least about 5-6 groups that we are reckoning with. It has a head in education. It has infiltrated our security defense systems. Over the years, it has infiltrated governance. It has infiltrated media. It's a supremacist agenda that was designed to use Islam as a cover. That's why for the first 15, 16 years, it was targeted only at Christians first. I told publicly that in the later years, towards the end, when they're about to strike Nigeria completely, they will start killing Muslims as well. So I said that about 10 years ago. We are dealing with something that is global, but has a local face. Its objective is to take the whole of Nigeria, not some of Nigeria. The idea is to take Nigeria, take West Africa, take the rest of Africa, and then use that resources to dominate the world.
Then you might wonder if this is their goal. And as you can see, it happens to be so detrimental to the existence of the entity called Nigeria. Why has the Nigerian government not stopped them? You see, the government of Nigeria are made up of individuals and political caucuses that often fall within 4 categories. The first is those that are directly connected to this group in terms of sponsoring them, in terms of even being part of some of these groups that I've mentioned. The second are those that are not directly part of this group, but they are sympathetic to the cause of this group. You see, the third are those that might not be necessarily connected to this group, not be immediately sympathetic to their cause, but they are indirectly benefiting from this group in one way or the other through political groupings and political connections with those that are connected to this group. And the last are those that might not be connected to this group, sympathetic to their cause, not be indirectly connected to them, but are not powerful enough to make a difference or to push back against those that have interest in these groups. All of these categories include powerful people in government.
One man, God is very important, who started the Boko Haram crisis in Borno State, a governor, Modu Ali Sharif, addressed the press 2 days ago and attempted to insult the collective intelligence and memory of Nigerians by denying any links with the dangerous, dreaded Boko Haram sect.
The consequence of this is a deepening culture of sabotage within Nigerian security infrastructure, including intelligence agencies and the military itself. And this has resulted in security intelligence, sensitive ones, being leaked from the military and the police into the hands of insurgent groups, making them to preempt attack and to launch counterattacks against Nigerian security infrastructures. Further complicating this is that it's not just a local crisis. It has the involvement and the sinister motives of foreign insurgent groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and some of them in the Middle East and others in the Sahel.
It's Christmas Day in 2011. A bomb suddenly goes off at St. Teresa Catholic Church in Madala.
Frankly speaking, I thought the war has ended.
Killing 35 people and wounding a further 52. Almost simultaneously, a series of coordinated bomb attacks and shootings takes place at churches in Jos, Gadaka, and Damaturu. An obscure Islamist group calling itself Boko Haram claims responsibility for the attacks. During the trial of the main suspect, Kabir Umar, also known as Kabir Sokoto, 2 years later, a masked witness claims that an Algerian Islamist group provided funding and support worth 40 million naira, which was roughly $250,000 at the time, to carry out the attacks.
And also, foreign mining interest has also led to alleged exploitation of Nigeria's instability. So is Nigeria destined for doom? No. But the path forward will not be an easy one. You see, Nigeria on paper operates a federal system that in practice runs like a unitary system. The central government is so powerful while the component units are weak and rely on federal government for security and security intelligence. And this means that in terms of insecurity and instability, the component units like the state government and the communities have to rely on the federal government and the federal security apparatuses that are potentially have been compromised from within. So one of the answers to this is that Nigeria in practice, at least in the area of security, should operate a decentralized system where states and communities are able to raise their own security agencies, they're able to fend for their local communities and able to defend them from the hands of these insurgents and terrorist groups.
We have gone beyond where the federal government can take care of us. It is time for community security.
In my own opinion, a local structure should be in place to provide these services, to provide security for our local communities.
And also, the whole world have their focus and gaze on Nigeria at this particular moment. While some have argued that this might be a cause and that there might be foreign interests attempting to exploit the resources of Nigeria, this might, however, be a blessing in disguise. If Nigeria is able to play its card right, it might be able to leverage on foreign support and foreign intelligence and foreign support in the areas of arms and training in order to be able to fight off and to gain more ground against these insurgent and terrorist groups. Then lastly, fighting these insurgent groups in Nigeria requires a long-term effort. You see, these terrorist groups and these insurgent groups, they rely on the bankruptcy of knowledge and the abundance of illiteracy and poverty in some part of the country to recruit and radicalize young minds and to mold them to be potential future terrorists. So how do Nigeria counter this? This shows that apart from short-term military action, Nigeria needs to invest in long-term targeted education and social stability programs in certain areas of the country where they are able to train young minds and to model targeted curriculum and targeted training programs in order to develop their minds and to enlighten and expose them to global ideas such that these minds don't become potential tools for these terrorists to leverage upon and to mold into their way. And you see some communities in Nigeria, for instance, where young people, young orphans are being married off at a very young age. And the potential effect of this is that these people have not gained enough level of exposure. And when orphans like these programs, like it's in certain states like Sokoto State, when they are made to just go out and just brought into marriage, they start to produce offsprings that they are not able to properly train, neither to properly fend for, and these ones are left to fend for themselves, and these ones become tools in the hands of this terrorist group. So, as I said earlier, Nigerian government needs to invest in long-term education and social stability programs that are able to ensure that the minds of these people, the young people in certain parts of the country that are vulnerable to this security and terrorist exploitation, that they are able to mold them and prevent them from being radicalized and for being menace to the society at large.
The Zamfara state government recently married off 200 female orphans, widows, and underprivileged women, providing them with household items and a 200,000 naira dowry. But is marriage the answer to poverty and insecurity? Critics argue that education and empowerment will be more beneficial, especially in a state with one of the highest numbers of out-of-school children.
The first thing that terrorists always preach against is educating young people. Because once a child can dream of being a doctor or a pilot, it's harder to recruit them or convince them to pick up AK-47. Education reduces indoctrination. So yes, we have to fight the terrorists, but also we have to invest in education and basic amenities for everybody if we want to win, not just now, but in the long run. Otherwise, if people are not educated, it's easier for them to be recruited, to be indoctrinated.
If you have more suggestions, let's drop them in the comment section below. Let's continue the conversation there. Don't forget to like and subscribe.